always, we want to make sure that we are taking massive action, and that action stands for accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome, setting yourself, body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading, trust in your education, strategy, trade skills, and intuition. Imagine your trade successfully materializing, obeying your trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear, and never looking back or stopping once your trade has commenced. All right, so we got a lot to catch up on as we didn't have our weekly ritual this weekend. Um, so if everybody can hear me okay, drop me one in the chat and we will get rocking. Perfect. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. All right. So we'll start out with the calendar, then we'll peek at trading economics, and then we will get through as many pairs as possible. All right. So trading economics. I'm sorry, calendar. Over the weekend, right, Sunday, we had Bank of Japan summary of opinions. And the summary of opinions is obviously the meeting minutes from their previous policy meeting. And there was an interesting divide, right? There was a debate regarding timing of the rate hikes. You had some members saying that they needed to move sooner, and then you had more members saying we needed to wait to get more data. So that kind of caused a a dovish feel to the Bank of Japan, which kind of continues the narrative that we've been talking about for the past forever. Um, so that was an interesting take. Um, as I read through some of the notes from the meeting. Um, and it kind of goes against what Governor Ueda said the previous week um, in meetings with the parliament. He said that it's highly likely that they will increase rates next month. Then he went to as long as data supports it, right? And they also talked about um, the bond purchases and slowing down of the bond purchases leading up to the rate hike. And there's a chance Governor Ueda said that they can decrease the bond purchases and increase rates during the same meeting. There's potential for that. Now, the market took the notes as very dovish because you had the majority of members, I believe it was like 8-2, um, vote in favor of waiting for more data, right? So you had a dovish take there. Then you had on Monday, yesterday, your services PPI came in below expectation. So that kind of led more to the dovish narrative of the Bank of Japan. But this morning, you had their Bank of Japan CPI come in above expectations. Now, this 2.1% is within the range that they expected, but it is above the forecast. So there's an interesting back and forth happening with the data now to determine what the Bank of Japan is actually looking at and looking for to make this determination at the end of July on whether they choose to increase rates or not. You have some investors looking at the dollar yen getting levels of 170, which it'll be interesting to see if the Bank of Japan allows it to get there. But that's where we are from Japan. So still relatively dovish, but there are some signs of support coming from the data, but it is still mixed. Governor Ueda, he's giving hawkish words, but the actions aren't following. So the market is not following the words that Governor Ueda is giving at the moment. So we'll see how things go from Japan perspective. Then we had Governor Macklem from Bank of Canada. He spoke yesterday and he said it's reasonable to expect further cuts. So the data today for the CPI data today for Canada will be pretty big, right? If it comes in line with expectation or even below expectation, right? That will lead to more Canadian dollar weakness. So we'll have to watch that as well to gauge that Canadian dollar. I know we're in some trades of Euro CAD to the upside. That CAD yen is still sitting in the 80-20 scenario, which we'll look at. So we'll watch the data to see if that's in line with Governor Malcolm's words there. Then you had on not necessarily the this side of the fundamentals, but you had some Fed officials in California urging businesses to move their workers to full-time in office. Now, that is an interesting take because of the commercial real estate situation that is looming in the United States. So more, and you're starting to see more employers push to have people back in office full time so that they can fill the offices, and hopefully get more tenants in those offices to start paying for what they haven't necessarily been able to afford on the commercial real estate side. So this is going to be an interesting back and forth over the next six to 8 months. As we've been talking about that real estate side of things, the commercial real estate side of things for a while, and looking at a lot of those notes being renewed this year and next year. So we'll continue to monitor that side of it as well to see if things continue to trend in that way. And just be aware, right, that you might get called back into the office, and we might see more of that push coming in the very, very near future. Back to the calendar. Later today, we got consumer confidence. Tonight, we got CPI for the Aussie. Tomorrow, new home sales for the dollar, crude oil inventories, retail sales for the yen. Governor Bailey speaks on Thursday. Final GDP for the United States for the quarter, unemployment claims, pending home sales, and then on Friday, CPI data out of the Eurozone, GDP month over month for Canada, core PCE for the United States, which is going to be big when it comes to the interest rate and the Fed's take on the data. Then you got manufacturing PMI for China on Saturday. All right. So that's where we are from the calendar perspective. Not a ton as far as recent updates. You got European equity markets lower on Tuesday, reversing the gains from yesterday, fueled by caution from the tech sell-off that occurred yesterday, as the tech sector was one of the worst performers. And people are looking forward to Friday and that PCE data, along with French elections later on this week. So that'll be big coming out of Europe, the French elections. And obviously the PCE data is one of the Fed's primary data points that they're looking at when it comes to determining the path of interest rates. So we'll continue to monitor that there. Here's the data on the yen. Stayed around 159.3 after threatening to breach 160. Top currency diplomat Masato Kana stated Japan stands ready to take steps against volatile yen moves at any time. Their stance has not changed from that perspective, stressing that currency moves should be stable and reflect fundamentals. The yen decline recently accelerated as the Bank of Japan's summary of opinions from the June meeting showed members were divided on how to proceed with the next interest rate hike, right? One member called for an early action due to upside risk of inflation, while others urged caution and needed more confirmation from upcoming data, right? The developments came as the BOJ refused to scale back the massive bond purchases in its policy decision last week, saying that it will release a plan on winding down the bond buying program at the policy meeting in July, right? So the other thing was too that we could also see an upward revision of the inflation target for Japan as well, seeing as they continue to push things off, right? That's another opinion that's out there that will also potentially see pick up as well. So that's where we are from a fundamental perspective. Joyce said, was talking about that with a work mentor. Notice most positions called for remote, but in that state,
So we are my company. We're Florida, California, New York. We're all over. So we noticing a lot of remote positions, but those remote positions you have to reside in that state only. So
mhm.
which means we start looking at a lot of positions like, oh, they about to start calling people in because
Yeah,
because if it's not crossed over, then that's the only thing I could think of.
yeah, no, that absolutely makes sense, right? It goes from that full remote to in-state
Hybrid.
remote, and
Mm-hmm.
then trickling into 3 or 4 days required in the office, and then 5 days, right? Um, yeah, I've actually seen that as well in some of the areas that I've been just peeking at. So I agree. I agree. It'll be interesting to see how the next 6 months go from that perspective. Benny, good morning, bro.
Good morning, Ryan. Good morning, everybody. Ryan, how are you?
I am doing well, man. Glad to be here. How are you?
Oh man, doing great. Doing great.
Awesome. Anything top of mind fundamentally for you?
Just this yen
Even colorful
intervention,
things.
man. That's these yen crosses are sitting pretty high, man. They have been for a while. They're bouncing back and forth. So that's the main thing that I've got my eye on, whether or not they're gonna step in.
Yeah.
Because a lot of I'm reading so many articles that it's coming, you know, it's coming to something that needs to happen, but it hasn't happened yet. So just uh just waiting on that.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be if they do, it'll be interesting to see the size of it. And
Yes.
if they do multiple again, right? Seeing as the last one, which was the largest they've had, didn't do a ton. So will they
Yeah.
will they go further with that, um, and make multiple decisions in that short time frame as they did before too?
Yeah, so we'll see, like you said, the US with the PCE data coming out this week. So, maybe they've got their eyes on that, like you said, as the dollar yen keeps trying to breach that 160 level, which is where they stepped in the last time, So we'll see. But that's the main thing that I've been keeping my eye on because it could be a huge move.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Cool deal, man. Appreciate you, bro.
Yep.
All right. Let's hop over to the charts. We'll take a look at the dollar as it continues to trickle to the upside. Um, and we'll go from there. So here on the 4 hour, we got the DXY. We continue pressing long, right? We got that 618 retracement here. Let me go back. This is our capital tip. 618 retracement overall, and we've been watching it break the trend line, pull back, and continue moving north. And we had this resistance level here that we're looking to see if we could break above. And we did. Now we're pulling back to retest that area, right? So looking ultimately for the dollar to continue moving long. Um, we'll see what happens with the PCE data on Friday, and we'll see what happens leading up to that as well. But ultimately looking long on the dollar, but we'll see how things move in the meantime. All right, so that's the DXY. Talked about the dollar yen. And let's go back to the daily, right? We're sitting in that 118, 127 zone. Haven't broken above that 160, 228 level yet, right? With that previous high. So could we get a double top scenario here and price to make its way back down to the downside, right? From a daily time frame perspective, we'll see. Okay. Um, but like Benny said, it's it's extended, right? We zoom back and we look and it's been extended for forever, right? But we're lingering in this 160 range, which before here we haven't been at in over 30 years. So watching these higher levels to see how the Bank of Japan responds and how the market responds overall. All right. So coming down to the four, We also have price hitting in that 118 and 127 zone on the 4. So we got alignment from those two higher time frame levels, right? Which we like to see, right? And ultimately, we consider this the range that we also like to see, larger than most, obviously, but we're back to the top of the range. Okay. We'll look at the sub fib in a second on the 1 hour, but ultimately, we're in this range here. Okay. We could see another push to the upside, potentially breaking that level, getting to that D extension on the 4 at 161, 253. We'll obviously watch and see how the market moves, right? So as we're looking at these higher prices, we want to trade what we see, right? But whatever your confirmations are, you want to make sure that you add those into your decision, right? Be it the cloud or be it your trend lines. Okay. Like so. Boom. Okay. There we go. All right. So that's on the 4. Those are trend lines moving to the upside. We drop the cloud on just to see where that is, right? And continue moving to the upside, right? So we haven't gotten a twist yet. We haven't gotten a TK crossover yet. So things are still moving long, but we are starting to consolidate in this area here. Okay. Coming down to the 1. We also have an 80-20. These are those sub fibs that I had running off the low here, right? If we zoom out, I don't believe we have anything. Nope. So we're sitting here in the 118, 127 zone on the 4 as well, right? So all of our primary timelines, daily, 4 hour, 1 hour, are all in 80-20 scenarios. Now, what we could potentially see is this 1 hour give us a move down, get us to the 382 and retest this trend line. And then maybe we see a bounce to the upside, right? Getting to the matching D extension and then also getting us to that D extension at 161 level on the 4 hour as well, right? So something to watch for. So here's our 80-20 scenario on the dollar yen that we could see a move to the downside for, right, in the short term, and then preparing us for a larger move and potentially even setting up that intervention later on if we get that push to the upside, right? So on these yens, as we've been going through this and watching, just going back and looking at just the recent history on these, right? Playing these 1 hour moves has actually been pretty beneficial, right? We're getting the deep retracements in the continue in the push long. Okay. So in this 80-20 scenario, just as we had here, right, we pushed up just shy of that 118 level, and then we got the retracement. We could see that similar action here, right? 80-20 to a retracement. Maybe we don't get to the deep retracement level, right? But nice pullback, coming back and retesting this resistance and then giving us another push to the upside, right? So as you're looking at these from a higher time frame down, we still could stay range bound from a daily and 4 hour perspective, but we could get the retracement on the 1 hour. So playing these on the 1, looking for those moves, managing that trade as it moves down is going to be key for us to pay attention to here. All right. Until the Bank of Japan actually makes the fundamental changes. So we will watch that. And that rate statement in July isn't until the 30th. That meeting is until the 30th and the 31st. So we got another month until that comes. So that could then cause prices to continue to escalate to the upside. All right. So UJ, that's where we are. Any questions?
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. All right, cool deal. While we're here, let's take a look at the dollar CAD. So, right, we got CPI data for the Canadian dollar coming out today, right? We know overall we got the 618 retracement. We've just been range bound here, but could we get a catalyst to turn this over and push it back to the upside? Governor Macklem likely for more cuts to come, right? So dovish tone. Does the data align with that, right? Does the data align with that and make this push back to the upside here, right? Coming down to the 4, we got a 50% retracement here, right? And looking for a move to the upside. Okay, looking for a move to the upside. Do we get that catalyst to turn price back over and push long? And then down on the 1, we just wicked that 382 there and we're pressing back down. Do we get price to turnover, break the cloud, and continue moving along? So I'm watching this off the 1 to see if we get that cloud break and that move back to the upside. So that's the confirmation I'm waiting on for more of the longer, the higher time frame move to the upside. Questions here?
Nope.
Nope. Nope. All right. Give me 2 minutes, everybody, please. 2 minutes. My bad, everybody. Um, you guys' community animal has been on one as of late. The dog has been being a dog. But no questions on the dollar CAD. So let's yes, exactly, Joy. Terrible twos. Makes for an interesting world. Um, so that's the dollar CAD. While we're on this, I'll look at these Swissies as well, because we had some 80-20s that have played out or are playing out on the Swiss crosses also. So my thought today is really look at dollars, Swissies, and the yens to see how those are moving. So just an update on the pound Swiss. We had the 80-20 that Benny talked about last week, pushed down into that 118, 127 zone. And we're moving. We got the TP1, right? So beautiful move long. Now let's see if we get a pullback and a continuation here, right? So TP1 off the low, 129 pips to the upside. Beautiful play. Now let's see what happens from here, right? But TP1 achieved on the pound Swiss setup from last week as Benny was diving in on these Swissies and looking at the catalysts and things that have been happening on the backside. So that was a beautiful play long, walking back, right, on the 4 hour, right? It was just a fresh beat boundary, sitting at a 50% retracement on the 4. All right. So we could continue to see that Swissy move back long. This is the daily look, right? That was another push down just to that 618 retracement level. And on the sub fib, we also got an 80-20. So let's monitor this and see if we get pullbacks and continuations here. All right. Pull back, and we'll go back to the 1 hour to look at that sub fib, but continuations to the upside against the Swiss. Okay. So we'll continue to monitor that there. So back to the 1. That's the move long. So now let's run our fib to the upside. Boom. So 618 retracement. So we haven't gotten to the D extension yet on that sub fib. So this pullback could be shorter in the short term, right? And then pushing to the matching D extension before we get a full reset. Right? So smaller pullback, push to the D extension, then we get a fresh AB boundary at some point, and then see if we get that larger correction. All right. But beautiful move so far. We'll continue to monitor, manage your trade if you're in this one to the upside. But been a beautiful move so far. Questions on the pound Swiss? Nope.
No question.
Cool deal. NZD Swiss, right? Similar scenario. This is that 1 hour. We got the consolidation in the 118, 127 zone. Breakout. Didn't really get a pullback here, right? And we're trying to push to the upside, but we're consolidating a bit here, right? So got some more work to do to the upside, just shy of that 382 so far, but we are making our way there. Okay, making our way to that 382, but been a beautiful move to the upside so far. Okay, out of the zone, you're looking at another 60 pips so far, right? And to that 382 is 68. So it's on the go. Okay, so we'll continue to monitor there. Look for that TP1 to be achieved. On the 4, you also had 80-20 scenario, right? So you got even more movement to the upside coming, right? Once we break that level, that's the 382 on the 4, right? So to get to that TP2, if you're trading this off the 4 hour, it's 79 pips to the upside. Okay. So we had 80-20s on the 4 hour and the 1 hour on that larger move. Okay. And then as we zoom out, this was the larger scenario that we were talking about, where we're looking to see if we got another push down to that 618 retracement zone before turning around. And we didn't, right? It was a beautiful scenario here, and we're getting the move back to the upside now. So if we're able to break above, it's 55 to 092, right? This previous weekly resistance level. See if we get the legs to continue moving long, right? We already got our trend line breaks. Let's see. And we're sitting right at the cloud right now, right? Sitting right at the cloud right now. So if we're able to break the cloud and break above that 55,092, we could be in for that sustained move to the upside. Okay. So we'll monitor that one as it continues to progress. Okay. So that's the NZD Swiss. Any questions? And we got stochastic on the 4 hour in the buy zone, right? So we got momentum potentially in our favor as well. Looking for that continued move along. No questions?
No questions.
Cool deal. New Zealand yen. High in the zone. Previous 80-20 didn't play out, right? Push to the D extension. This is on the 4. Now we are at another level, right? Continues just to run to the upside. Okay. And this is going to be interesting to see what happens, man. It's wild that the market just continues to run long, right? We got a stochastic on the 4 hour in the buy zone, right? So that could give us more catalyst to continue trickling long unless the Bank of Japan steps in. Okay. Whoops, clean this up a little bit so this makes sense. And there we are on the daily. We're pushing into that 118, 127 zone. Okay. Pushing into the 118 and 127 zone. So we'll see. We'll see. 1 second. This is going to be interesting. Continue to monitor. Let me go back. Is this? Yeah. So we're approaching all-time highs at 97,804. Right? This all-time high on the NZD yen. Okay. Been a crazy move to the upside. Crazy move to the upside. Right? Since 2022. Just been long. So as we're sitting at this all-time high, let's see what happens, right? We got a D extension on the weekly time frame. Do we get something to turn this around? All-time high levels. So back to that daily time frame, right? Do we push into the 118 and 127 zone, or do we hold here and get a move back down? You see the consolidation that we're getting at this level. Okay. And come down to the 4, which we were just looking at. And I remove those. So keeping that all-time high scenario in mind, that 80-20 has a little bit more significance now, right? A little bit more significant seeing as we're at all-time highs, right? So key level of resistance in line with the 118, 127 zone. Okay, so now as we come down to the 1, to rerun these off the low. Right, oh, that got taken out as well. Matching D extension on the 1 is here at 98,024. Okay, so this is more of a higher time frame scenario. On the 1 hour, we got the stochastic pushing into the sell zone. So it'll be interesting to see, right? So stochastic, you got back and forth from the daily to the 4 hour to the 1 hour, which signals that consolidation, right? And we got all-time highs. So let's watch this one. Let's watch this one. See, we didn't get a strong reaction there, so sellers weren't sitting there waiting. But could we ultimately get a reaction back down to the downside here? Okay, and playing this off of the 4 hour, looking for that larger move down. Okay. So questions on the NZD JPY?
Nope.
No question.
Will do. Appreciate it. Over to the Aussies. Aussie Swiss. Daily time frame, we had the beautiful 80-20 scenario. Boom, didn't get to that support level, right, as I was looking for, but we got a nice turnover here and we broke back above that 59,296 level, right? So we're headed along, which makes sense against the Swiss, right? As we move down to the 4, here's where we had another 50% retracement, and I was looking for this cloud break here. So we got the cloud break, we're bullish ahead, and we got our TK crossover. So we could be in for now, just like on that pound Swiss, right? A continued move to the upside. We'll see what happens. We got that Aussie CPI data coming, but we could be in for this to continue moving long here and at least get us back to 61,666. Right? So beautiful turnover, beautiful trend line break. We're getting a cloud break now as well. So let's see if we get that follow through there and the fundamentals to align with that. All right. So that's your 50% retracement, your CDD move happening here. Okay. So depending on how you trade this, right, since we got the cloud break, you could place that stop below the low there. Right. And then allow price to run to the matching extension. Joy activated 58,843. Great work. Joy was ready for it. Drop some sevens in the chat for Joy. 58, 58, 843. Sheesh. Beautiful, Joy. Beautiful.
Great job.
Beautiful. So Joy's already up 60 pips on that, right? Matching the extension, 274 pips to the top side. So great work, Joy. Great work. All right. So that's the Aussie Swiss. Okay. Coming down to the one. Yeah, nothing happening on the one. You just see, right, that transition, that cloud break here, pull back, continuation. So looking for that to continue moving to the upside. All right. Questions on the Aussie Swiss? All right, cool. But you'll see these Swissies, they're all in similar positions. They're all in similar positions. The Aussie yen and the yens are also in similar positions. Um, weekly time frame, right? Just wick that 382 there, but we're pushing along. We broke above that 105, 405 level. So again, seeing as we have a month, until that rate statement, we could just be looking for pullbacks and continuations on the lower time frame. All right. If the Bank of Japan steps in, see a correction, then maybe we do get to 107. Right. I was skeptical about this level, but we might get there. We might get there. And what that also signals on the Aussie yen is all-time highs. Right. All-time highs. So this one is going to be interesting to watch as well. Okay. To see if we are able to get to that level or not. All right, that's on the weekly time frame. So coming down to the daily, we got our fresh AB boundary, right? And that 118, 127 zone comes in line with those all-time highs, right? So that's kind of how I'm looking at these, right? We do have a stochastic in the sell zone here on the daily time frame. See if we get the swing high to form and a pullback, but that pullback could just come and retest this previous resistance level here, right? And we'll see what that looks like on the lower time frames. So we'll come down to the 4. And here we got that 618 retracement, matching the extension also, right? 109. So that's well above that all-time high. So signs are pointing to more upside movement. We'll see what that CPI data looks like. That could be an initial catalyst for us in one direction or the other. But if that data comes in strong out of Australia, we could see this rise. Right. So don't be surprised if we see that move to the upside. Okay. Down on the one, we do have the 80-20. Right. So it'll be interesting to see, right? But just like that, what was it, the dollar yen, the New Zealand yen, do we get a pullback? And then continuation. So maybe the CPI data gives us that pullback, and then we run long. So 80-20 here nonetheless, though, right? So again, and Ben and I were talking about these yesterday, right? And how we could look at trading the baskets, right? And just looking at the risk to reward scenario with it, right? So if you do want to trade the basket overall, some ideas Ben was throwing around is maybe you don't, maybe you trade all of them just at 0.25%, right? If you want to trade the full basket, only trade them at 0.25%. So therefore, you're only out 1.5 to 2% overall if they don't go our way, right? Or picking one or two and trading them at 1%, right? That's kind of how we're looking at trading, especially these yen baskets as they've been just all over the place. And really just moving long overall. So just managing your risk properly when looking at the potential of trading the currency as a basket, right? So that if you do expose yourself to all, you're not overexposed from a risk perspective, right? So staying within that 1 to 2% range and cutting those positions down to 0.25%. All right, does that make sense?
Yes.
Did
Yep.
you want to expand on that thought at all?
No, man, you said it perfectly, right? Just spread your risk out. So you're not overexposed to that one currency. Because they're all setting up in similar positions. But you don't want to be out. You don't want to be out of 5-6% on these positions if they don't go your way.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Makes sense. All right. So there's another scenario for you to watch, right? And then all of them may not even meet your rules. Okay. So making sure that you add those confirmations in based on your trading plan, right? Whatever the rules say, continue to follow it, right? And allow price to move into your zone with your confirmations and then pull the trigger based on those rules. All right. So that's the Aussie yen. CAD Swiss. I actually want to look at this Aussie New Zealand real quick before we move out of the Aussies. Because this one is also one that we had on the radar from last week. um, so from a daily time frame perspective, this was previous support. We broke it, so this is no longer valid. We will shift that here as our resistance level here, right? So broke down, got a nice pullback, retested previous support here that we broke through. And now we're consolidating a bit. Okay. Now we're consolidating a bit. We got a stochastic in the sell zone, right? Stochastic in the sell zone. We got the swing high to form in consolidation here, right? We come down to the 4. We got a fresh AB boundary. 236. Pull back, and now we're trying to push back down to the downside. So do we see this retracement come here before potential continuation long, right? Do we see that retracement come there? Down on the 1 is where we have our 80-20 scenario. Boom. Right? So this is our consolidation. All right. Some of us have been sitting in this one for a minute, but there's our consolidation. Do we see price give us that move back down to the downside now? All right. So here's your setup here. Okay. Boom. All right. So if you've just been watching this and waiting on that additional confirmation, continue to wait on the additional confirmation, be a trend line break or a nice sustained bearish cloud break, right? You see it's just moving through the cloud at the moment, right? But continue to wait on your confirmations, but we are setting up for a potential retracement here, and then we'll look to see if we get 618 move for a C to D continuation there. Okay. So that's the Aussie New Zealand. I think this is going to be a good scenario for us here. 108.65. Joy is killing it. She's just been sitting in them and moving on. Right? Kind of right in that 118, 127 zone. I love it. I
Great
love
work,
it.
Joy.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Since 620. 5 days. Beautiful, right? The patience. The patience, right? Taking the trade, what we say, right? Never looking back or stopping once the trade is commenced. Take the position, calculate your risk, and allow price to do what it's going to do, right? That's it. That's it. Calculate the risk, take the trade, allow the market to do what it does. Right? Easier said than done, yes. However, right, it's a decision. It's a decision. So beautiful work. Beautiful work. So that's the Aussie New Zealand 80-20 to the downside. Right. So we got a ton of setups here that are moving in to our zones and giving us some nice opportunities. Right. So it's the cycle, right? No, every trade won't go our way, but we know we have an edge in the market. And so it's about sticking to the plan and trading the plan. Yes, you'll have a string of losses, and that's okay. That's okay. The string of losses will come. Benny says all the time, you can't determine when that string of losses will come, but it'll come. But as long as you manage your risk properly, you'll make it through the string of losses to then see the other side, to then be able to make up for that as the setup plays out in my favor. Right? So continue to trade the plan. Continue to trade the plan. Any questions on the Oz in New Zealand? Nope. Cool.
Nope.
Cat Swiss. Appreciate it. Cat Swiss. Right. Overall, we've been watching this for a long time. Beautiful move up. We got a sharp move down. Right. Broke back below support levels. So we got a new support there. Beautiful reversal. Right. Testing previous resistance here. So let's see if this holds. But we could be in for that continued move to the upside here, right? Against the Swiss. Now, this is going to be interesting because you also have the Canadian dollar, where Governor Macklem has said more cuts will come, right, or are likely. So this one will be interesting. We could maybe stay in a range for a while, but stochastic pushing up to the sell zone. So let's see how price responds at 65,535. Okay, so as we come down to the 4, this is where our 80-20 was. Boom. Push down into the 118, 127 zone. Boom. Sharp move long. We're just shy of that TP1 level. Okay, just shy of the TP1 level. So we could be in for a pullback here. 92 pips to the upside so far. Right? Beautiful scenarios. Beautiful opportunities for us, right? TP1 just shy of it. So do we get a retracement to come? That support level is now there. Right? Do we get a retracement to come? And do we get a crown pattern to form? All right. So looking for a pullback here. All right. If you're on a sub fib off the low, there's your 80-20 right there for potential retracement. So if you're in this one long, right, maybe you take some off and look for the pullback to then add to it again, right? Different ways to manage it. Or if you want to hedge, right, maybe you take this 80-20 to the downside, keep your position, right, just move it to break even, take this position to the downside to the 382, and then look for the swing low in the sweet spot for price to move back to the upside. Okay, but potential retracement coming here, and then we'll look for the potential of a continuation. Okay, down to the 1 hour 80-20 did not play out just with that D extension, but here is that reversal potential. Right? See the cloud break. We're extended, pushed into the 118 and 127 zone. Look for that. Yeah, Joy. Yeah. Um, I had I was in a similar position. I was in a similar position. Um, and then so I did get spiked out on the one, but I did then I did then re-enter looking at it from the 4 hour perspective, right? And took that back long. So we'll see how it continues to move. But that push down was aggressive. And then we got the consolidation and the reversal. So we're making it happen. Making it happen. All right. Questions on the CAD Swiss? Missed the reentry. That's all right. That's all right. Cool deal. CAD yen. Just shy of 117,345 or 354. Stochastic in the sell zone, right? Do we get a double top scenario here? Right? Do we get a double top scenario here? This one is going to be interesting. We already got a 382, right? But you got a dovish Canadian dollar. So could we see maybe even it's just a move back down to the lows at 111,822 and keep us range bound for a bit, right? But do we get a double top and a move back down, right? On the fours where we got our 80-20 scenario, right? That previous high came just shy of that the extension. So do we get another move down here? Do we get another move down? This is another one that I'm watching closely. Of the yens, they're all of them are in interesting situations, right? Um, you got the euro yen with the elections happening that could cause potential dovish move on the yen. I mean on the euro. You got a dovish Canadian dollar. You got a dollar yen that's continuing to run to the upside. With a hawkish Fed, you have Bank of England, which is, would you say the more neutral, Benny? The Bank of England? Rate cuts to
Say that
potential
one more.
come in the future.
Say that one more time. Say that
Where
one more
where
time.
where do you see the Bank of England standing from a interest rate perspective? More not super dovish, but not super bullish either.
Yeah,
Kind of
because
more neutral to
the
bearish.
well the market is pricing that they may be cutting rates soon, because
Mm-hmm.
they've got more members, that are leaning towards that. But I don't think we're right there yet, so
Yeah.
maybe I think it may be, but some are thinking a potential August cut.
Okay.
Um, so we'll see. We'll see on that. It's kind of tough. It's a lot. It's so much back and forth, and then you got the political situation too.
Yeah.
Um, that's going on. But coming out of that last meeting, it was showing signs of a potential rate cut. Sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So neutral to bearish, I would say, right? But that pound yen is still high. So excuse me, all of them are in interesting situations, all sitting at high prices, but from a fundamental perspective, they're kind of mixed, right? So we'll see if we get a retracement and then maybe continuation on this CAD yen. All right, we'll see. Excuse me. Coming down to your one, I have a fib running off the high here. I have a fib running off the high. and we're sitting deep in the zone, right? That A boundary is at that resistance level. So this is an 8-6 retracement. Looking to see if we get price to turn over and break the cloud here. Right.
We could
That
see
will,
later with that pound later this week because I think we've got GDP numbers and retail sales, right? I think later in the week for the pound.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. That'll give us some insight there. So we'll see, right? So this Canadian dollar yen is kind of mixed, right? But we got the 80-20 on the 4. We got a deep retracement on the 1, right? Do we get the additional confirmation here of a trend line break or a cloud break? That's what I'm looking for. That's what I'm looking for on this scenario here. Okay. Questions on the CAD yen?
Nope.
Nope. All right, cool deal. Yeah, Joy, that dollar CAD, it just wicked at 382 level. I know exactly what you're looking at on that. Benny, anything before we wrap it up, bro?
No, sir, man. You covered a lot. Appreciate it. Just again, man, I'm just waiting. I'm so intrigued by this yen situation because it's been going on for so long. You know,
Yeah,
regardless of what they're gonna do. But I mean, they've got a lot to consider, and you know, it's rare that they step in or intervene. Like you said, the last time I mean, it caused a pretty good correction in that dollar yen, but the market ran right back up afterwards. So
exactly.
it wasn't long. I think it was like 800 some pips on that correction on the dollar
Yep.
yen, but it seemed like it took it all back just as fast as it had moved to the downside. So that's my main focus right now is seeing what they decide to do.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be tracking it close as well, man. I'm curious. I'm curious. So we'll keep you guys posted on what we find. Um, yeah, we'll keep you guys posted on what we find as things continue to progress. So, good people, we'll be back at it tomorrow morning, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for this pre-New York session. Tonight, 6 p.m., accountability group, right? Tap in. Um, Great conversations. I got to get caught up on the happenings as of late. It's been crazy busy on my end, but if you haven't tapped in, definitely tap into the accountability group, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight inside the community meetup. We'll see you then. Have a great day, everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.